Zero to seven figures. .com 0 to 7 figures. .com 0 0 to 0 to 7 figures. .com.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of 0 to 7 Figures.com podcast. I'm Brian Post.
And I'm Abraham Ruiz.
And we are so glad to have you guys join us for another episode. And we hope you are finding some inspiration and some motivation, some encouragement, and also some wisdom in what we've been sharing. And looking at your business a little differently, maybe getting some ideas about how you can go to 7 figures.
Yes, I like it. Taking from our failures, lead to your success, however it works, man.
I've had more failures than successes.
We were talking yesterday. We said we were going to talk today about employees.
Yeah, man.
And that is a tricky subject, especially in my world, man. It is tricky. I actually, the funny thing is, Brian, I had that phone call from a friend of mine yesterday. He is starting a company. I won't name anything because he's asked me not to, but starting a company where he's doing the outside HR situation where he's going to find, like a headhunter would do.
Yeah.
But he's going to go find you the employee. He's going to do the interviews. He's going to make sure they align with everything that you want in an employee. And then he's going to give them to you, and he charges a percentage of their annual salary as a compensation. So that's something, but the good thing is he's going to do it for me for free to give it a try. I love it.
That's cool. What are you looking for? So let's start off right there. How do you know when you're ready to add someone to your team?
Well, there are some deficiencies that I've noticed that I have been personally compensating for. Okay. And I think what happens in my company is there's been some lack of experience coming from some of the people that I've hired. And that's okay. I actually almost prefer somebody with little to no experience, so way I can train them the way I want them to operate inside of my company. But what I've noticed is that the lack of experience just forces me to do more work, which then at the end of the day ends up putting me in a position where I'm working twice as much and they're still getting compensated the same because they're in a training position. So what I'm looking for is somebody with some experience. So for me, it's going in and trying to find somebody that's a seasoned veteran, but that is not so set in their ways. That's the problem you have with salespeople, is that as they get older, they tend to have these nuances and these things that they do over and over and over because it used to work. When the economy changes and when the platforms change and you can't use those anymore, you got to adjust, and some of these guys don't know how to adjust. So it's really tricky finding somebody for me. But also, like, the other part of it is like in my office. You know, when I'm doing front end, back end, and helping out on every side of it, that's when I noticed. I mean, I don't know if that's a good answer for what you asked, but so I have to find somebody in the office that's going to be able to run this thing, the minor stuff, answering phones, return phone calls, following up on leads, booking appointments, basic stuff that you would think would be second nature to somebody running an admin position, but it really isn't. How do you
when you hire someone, let's say just like for your secretary, your receptionist, how do you train them?
How do I train them?
Yeah.
Man, I've done this sometimes. So I'll sit down with them for about a week and I'll shadow them and they'll shadow me. We'll go back and forth. Well, I'll show them how to do something and we'll do repetition of a shell customer that's not a real customer and kind of walk them through it. That's what's been successful for me as far as me doing it. When that doesn't work and I can't continue to do that because of time resource, I go in, I have a couple of resources I use online that allow for training, especially when it comes to QuickBooks or comes to basic clerical, when it comes to like Microsoft Word, you know, and Excel and that sort of thing. I go ahead and just pay for the training and let them, you know, learn at their own pace. They can do a couple of that hours a day. They do some at home, and within about 2 or 3 weeks, they're caught up.
What about sales scripts? Do you have any of that stuff written out?
Yeah, absolutely. We have sales scripts. I have multiple scripts. I have some, because I have different niches that I use. Niche, it's like Worcestershire.
Yeah.
Niche. I have several different that I use. So I have a group of individuals. I have a program that I started with my juniors and seniors in high school where we're training them, teaching them how to build a business model, how to implement it. I think we've spoken on this before, and how to sustain a business model. And so what I've done with them, I have a completely different script. This script is directly derivative from what they're about to engage in, which is college. And so they use, hey, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm working with. And then I have one that's going to be a phone script. So when I do call somebody that is a lead from an ad I posted on social media, it has to be very specific, and it has to be good enough to where they know, hey, I did contact this person. Because if you don't have the right script, they think you're just another spam caller trying to get their business.
Yeah.
So it's very tricky getting the words right. Wordsmithing is not the easiest thing in the world.
Well, that's what
they figure it out.
That's what I said yesterday. We left off in the last episode talking about, I wanted to be sure to mention Michael Gerber and the E-Myth, because creating systems of operation, he says McDonald's is successful not because they manage a bunch of teenagers, but because they have systems and they manage the systems. He said, you don't manage people, you manage the systems. And I know that for me, of all the businesses that I have started, the ones who have been the most successful are the ones that I have started and did everything from the very beginning. So I knew A, B, C, D, all the nuts and bolts of the business. And as I got to the point that I could only, I hit my capacity, then typically I try to have my procedures in place. So then I start to train people, and I still, is like I do like you do, they shadow me, but they've got my systems. And then I train people to start to fill in those deficits. My biggest thing is I can do it all. Like I can even do the minor bookkeeping if I need to initially. Now I prefer when it comes to that, I just do a pencil and paper. But I always look to train for my weaknesses, to hire for my weaknesses, because I'm not good at the details. And I just have to recognize that. I'm a startup guy.
And I think that's funny, because that's exactly who I am too. And sometimes when it comes to those finer details, they get muddled. And in realizing as an entrepreneur, when you have reached your limitations and you need somebody, that's probably a good answer to your question. So you've reached your limitations. I cannot do this well. I can do it, but not well. Then you need to look for somebody on the outside that can come in and fill that role. And that's, yeah.
And I can give my current business, it's interesting because my current business, I've started that off for the first couple of months. I did everything myself. And then I hired a couple that have worked with me before to start filling in those pieces. And then we scaled up to our capacity before I started hiring other people. But I know everyone's role. I know everyone's role, and I know what they need to do. And even with 0 to 7 figures. So, I'm doing just like you're doing, a lot of the detailed stuff, handling little, adding the little softwares, getting the funnels going, all that stuff is done. But I know in my head, I'm already planning on hiring someone to do some of the ongoing details. So we're not there yet, but already in my head, I know what has to happen to move to that next level.
Well, and there's a level of accountability, the checks and balances. So even when you put somebody in that position, that you as the owner still have to get your hands dirty, and you still have to get there and make sure everything's running properly. You have to look at things, and that's something honestly I've had a lot of failure in, because I've gone and this person's got it, I'm good, and then I come back and it's like I wasn't on them, and so some things fell through the cracks. I'm like, well, this didn't get done, so how are you supposed to get paid?
Yeah.
But, I don't get paid, you don't get paid until this is done. This is how it works. This. Mm-hmm. They get relaxed when the boss is not around. So that's one thing that I learned about working inside of your business. You need to be very proactive with your employees, be around them, let them know that you're there, not to intimidate them, but to let them know, hey, I'm keeping an eye on this thing so we can all go in this direction together. And that was a big failure that I learned.
At the end of the day, the responsibility comes back on us as the owner.
We have a liability.
You can't blame anyone else. I mean, if anything goes wrong in your business, it doesn't matter with your employees, with your bookkeeping, with your vehicles. It doesn't matter. You're still the owner, and you still have 100% ultimate responsibility. And I don't care if you've trained a person,
Right.
for a year and they've been your sidekick. If they mess up, ultimately it's our responsibility. We can get mad at them all day long, but if they mess up, it's our responsibility. We just got to be willing to accept that. I feel like that's really important.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that is the difference between wisdom and thinking you're smart, right? Wisdom says, hey, this is my fault. This is why this went this way. I am responsible for this human being that is running my systems, and if I don't keep track of what's going on, that's on me.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one thing, everybody asks, like, when you put on a roof, you promise it's going to be perfect. I'm like, no, I don't promise it's going to be perfect. But I do promise, though, if it's not, is that I'll come back and I'll fix it. Yeah. But understanding that when there's a human involved, any level of humans, there's going to be error. And
yeah.
that's what we have to acknowledge, is like, there's going to be error, and it's okay to have those errors even with employees, but you have to be, like, once again, you just have to be proactive enough to catch it and say, hey, this is the checks, this is the balances, I got you, we got this right before it went out. And I had somebody send out an invoice one time, and it was way short. It's like $4,000 short, because all they sent out was an invoice for one thing, and insurance was done at that point. They wouldn't pay the rest of it. Mm-hmm. And the company ended up losing $4,000. That was on me, because I didn't look at it. They sent it to me. I said, hey man, you've been doing it for a while. I think you got this. I didn't look at it. It was wrong. I lost the money. Mm-hmm. So
bank account's the same way, right? When you have bookkeeper, a bookkeeper and you get lax, and all of a sudden you're not checking your daily balance and just kind of scrolling through to see what's been going out, and all of a sudden you look up and you see something funny, and I did it recently. I happened to look in the business account, and I said, Miss Edna, what are all these little charges? And she looked. She didn't know what they were. Come to find out, we'd had a kid stole some checks, and he was writing some hot checks, and about $2,000 had gone out of the account before we even caught it.
Was he smart enough to make it in small increments so you didn't notice it?
Yeah. Like a couple $100 here, but it's so funny, because it just reflects back to me how I have to be willing to take responsibility for the aspects of my business. Right. Now, let me shoot a basic question at you. Let's say I'm a startup business owner. I'm starting my little business. It's just been me, maybe me and my partner, my wife, what have you, my kid. How do you know when it is time to actually hire an employee? What are the metrics that you use to tell you, I need to go out and hire someone?
Why don't you answer that question first? So give me a second to think on that.
Well, so I have to first of all, have to take into consideration cash flow, right? So am I willing to go in debt to hire an employee? And the answer to that question is no. I don't ever go into debt to hire someone. I hire based on my cash flow, based on my revenue, and they get figured in.
I actually was going to make a point on that earlier, and that I have friends that have gone into business for themselves, and they throw every penny they have into the business before they have actual revenue coming in. And I never understood that. When I started my business, I lived in a shoebox, bro. Mm-hmm. I started my business with $2,000, which was everything that I had.
Yeah.
I was driving a car where the driver's side door didn't open up. I had to go through the passenger side door. I had to park far enough down the block where the customer didn't see me rolling out of the passenger side door. My window wouldn't roll up. It had no AC in it.
Yeah.
And those are the sacrifices I made to get where I wanted to go. And you have to be willing to make those sacrifices. But yes, looking at what you have and how much cash flow you have, it is very, very important to know, hey, I actually have this money to employ this person. Because right now, I could hire somebody, but I also know that the cash flow that we're having right now because of the COVID isn't strong enough to hire the 2-3 people that I want to. I could hire one person and feel pretty comfortable with it and not worry about it. Yeah. But you get 2 or 3, and then you start stressing and say, okay, now we got to get out there and hustle. And some people say that maybe that's the way you do it. Maybe it forces you to hustle. I say the hustle should always be there. Yeah. It should always be there. Your hunger. What is who was I think you quoted him the other day. What was Mark Cuban?
Yeah.
What does Mark Cuban say?
He says,
remember, you said, what did he say? It's something about the good times. I'm horrible about quotes, guys. I apologize.
Yeah, we got that on the website. Yeah. The one Mark Cuban always says is no balls, no babies.
No balls, no babies.
That's the one I always think.
Fantastic one. I love it.
When it comes to Mark Cuban, let me find it. I wrote that quote.
That's driving me nuts because it's something we say, and I
everyone thinks they're a genius when times are good.
There it is.
Yeah.
When everything thinks they're genius when times are good, and it's like when times are bad, they don't know what to do. And I love it because those people, and I was going to say fools, those fools go away during this time when you come into a pandemic or you come into a soft economy. It's perfect for me.
Yeah.
Because I've set myself up to know that I have all the resources in place that I'm going to still be doing business where some of these people are going to be starving. And I hate for anybody to lose their business, but I love new employees. I love new sales guys that know the business. So you guys that have lost your business, come on.
Yeah. Call up Abe.
Yeah, call me up, baby.
Yeah. No, I feel the same way. You have to learn how to run a tight ship. And the truth is, I haven't always ran the tightest ship in my business, and I usually don't. I run pretty loose, but I do always tell, especially my executive team, the things I like to hire, the things I like to spend money on are people and marketing. Like, I love spending money on marketing.
Right.
Love it. Because I'm just addicted to it. I love growth. So, I'm a growth addict. And then I love spending money on people. As soon as I have the resources to be able to do, I like to pay my people well. And I like to hire people that allow me to just run the business. I like being a business owner. I love working in my business. It's always what helps my business get to where it's at. But when it's time to back up, I don't mind backing up.
Right.
I like the idea, like Dan Kennedy says, the number one role of any business is to give you money. Your number one goal of your business is to extract money out of that business.
Right.
If you're doing anything short of that, then you're not running your business the right way. So I like to extract that money and that time freedom. It's very important to me.
So speaking back to the metrics, like about when it's time to hire, how much money, and I'm not talking about the actual dollars and cents, but how much money in terms of time do you have to have in your bank account before you feel comfortable hiring that employee? Like for me, it was a year. I needed a year worth of where I could pay for everything, including that employee, including all my bills, including everything. I needed a year's worth of resource sitting in cash flow. So I know that, hey, even if we don't get one damn piece of business, I'm still going to pay all my bills, including that person that I decided to hire. And that's
smart.
Yeah, but it's hard to do because a lot of people, especially sales guys, we like to spend our money, man. We like to go out there.
I've never done that, man. I mean, I'll if I know I've got it coming in the next month, if I know I've got it coming in the next 2 months, I'll hire someone because I know I'm not going to have to pay them for 30 days. and I just grind. To be honest with you, probably, I'm going to say 60% of businesses I've ever started, I've hit $1 million in the first year because it's just insane. Because I love that juice of growth.
Right.
So I'll hire people and not have the money. I mean, that's not really my issue as long as I know the money's coming in. Now, I don't put shit on credit cards and I don't go get bank loans and all that kind of stuff. I'll hire based on revenues that are projected if I feel pretty safe. And then I've hired people and those revenues haven't came in and that business just fell flat and went belly up, So there's that too. There's definitely a risk element in hiring before you have the money in your account.
But I believe in taking risk, and I'm a big risk taker myself because I'll dive into something when I have a moderate knowledge of what I'm doing, but I have a good background knowledge. That is key, man. If you're going to jump into something, educate yourself. Don't be somebody, hey, this person over here did it. It must be easy.
Yeah.
I've had people say that to me several times, like, well, he did it. It must be easy. I'm like, I don't know what that means. It sounds a little insulting. But secondly, it's not as easy as you think. And not everybody has an entrepreneurial brain. Not everybody can do it. Some people are just meant to be employees, and that's not meant to be condescending. No. That's meant to say that I need that guy. that guy fulfills a need in my company and fulfills a need in my customer's life. And without him, what am I supposed to do?
Well,
Myself, right?
Let me tell you something. 20, almost 25 years, I've been in private practice, in self-employed. I have never once kept an idea or a concept from anyone who asked me. And just the other morning when you and I were talking, there was this guy kept popping in my head. He's in another state, and I hear he's been really successful. I've got a friend who knows him, so she's always telling me about what he's doing. I'm like, you know what? Abe and that guy should connect. And she immediately said, he's not going to share his secrets. And I'm like, what? I mean, like, what is that poverty mentality about? I've never operated that way. I mean, you could be my competitor right next to me, and I'll tell you everything I'm doing, because my confidence and my faith is in myself. Right. Not in anything. I'm not worried about anything else.
And see, I tend to be one of those people too, that I will speak about what I'm doing. And I'm more than happy to help somebody. I really am. Now, if you're my next door neighbor, I might not be sharing my exact secrets, but I'll give you a generalization of what I'm doing that's led me to success, because in the end of the day, there's plenty of work.
There's plenty of business.
And without competition, where are we at?
That's right.
Monopolization is not as fun as everybody thinks it is.
Yeah.
It is a nightmare. I'm assuming ask Amazon. I don't know.
Yeah.
But Walmart. Ask those guys. But I get it. So and at the same time, so I have two friends that are in the roofing business too, and we share ideas all the time. 3 of them actually, and we'll meet every now and then and say, hey man, I'm stuck. What are you doing differently? And they'll say, well, I'm stuck too. And then there'll at least be one of us that says, hey man, this is what I did, and it turned things around for me. Try it. And we do not affect each other's business at all. We work in different counties completely. We maybe cross over when there's a hailstorm and it might show up because of social media, but that's about it.
Yeah.
I agree. That poverty mentality, that'll sink a ship really fast.
And it does. And I see that happening to people all the time. You know what? I just, I may offer up something that may help someone else, that may cause me to lose a few bucks, but at the end of the day, I'm going to make it back up tenfold. I'm never worried about it. And I don't worry about competition. I've never concerned myself with competition. I've always concerned myself with bettering myself and being the person who spends the most for his marketing and takes risk where no one else is willing to take risk.
And that's a smart thing to do, because for instance, because I just started in the social media world, it's new to me, it's foreign, and I go in there and I'll see all these ads, and then I call my marketing girl and say, hey, what do you think about this? And she's like, why are we doing this? Why are we going and looking at everybody else's stuff? I said, well, some of them are actually good ideas. I wouldn't mind recycling them. And she goes, yeah, but you're Abe. You're NTX Roofing.
Yeah.
What are you worried about what everybody else is doing?
Yeah.
People are buying your brand, they're buying you. It doesn't matter what Joe Schmo chucking a truck's doing. Don't worry about them. It's not going to change your business at all to try to combat what they're doing. Continue down the path that you think is right, and you'll have success. And I said, you're reminding me of something that I tell people all the time. And that's a good point. Sometimes she's an external employee. She is like a subcontractor for me. And so she does that for me all the time. She's an excellent employee. That was one person that I had to figure out, do I have the money to pay for her?
Yeah.
My marketing girl. I was like, do I not? I mean, how else do I do it? I said, it would be foolish for me not to pay her, because I did not know the world well enough, and she's the one walking me through it. So
do you budget? I
do budget. Yes, I do budget. I have budget. So for my marketing at the beginning of the year is based on the last 2 years worth of resources or income. So I look at it and say, okay, this is what happened. This is how much hail came. This is what the storms look like. This is how much money I made. So and within a 5-year cycle, this is how much hail came. I look at the almanac. I do a lot of things. And so I do budget. Like going to this year, I had about $35,000 set aside for the year for marketing. And that doesn't sound like a lot, but for the size company that I run, it's sufficient. And especially when I'm very localized, I'm not trying to go into different states and do that. If I do go to a different state, it'll be a different marketing budget, and I'll have the resources for it. But it works. And with her, I mean, she eats up probably about half of that. But I mean, the lead she's got me in places where I don't necessarily solicit was fantastic. Yeah. So that's what I have to look at.
I think budgeting is great. It's never been something I've been able to do. I mean, I can't budget myself out of a box. My goal is always, how do I make more money? I need it. It's always been, I need to make so much money that budgeting doesn't even matter. And so that's what I'm always focused on, but I can't budget for shit.
Yeah, and that's where you got. I mean, if you can't do it, there's your weakness, right? Let somebody else that can do it come in, because I think at some point, especially when you're talking about taxes, the IRS and all these other people, it's important to know that, hey, I only have $20,000 to spend, because I'll have an idea like, it only costs $2,000. That's not a big deal. I'll pull that out of the cash and miscellaneous, the slush fund, and do it. I'm like, but that's not what the slush fund's for, man.
Yeah.
The slush fund is for like other stuff, and I get ambitious. Like one thing I did the shopping carts. And that wasn't like hey, everybody's gonna see my face. This is a good idea. It worked ish.
Yeah.
But it's like, I still, I don't like looking at my face in multiple places, brother.
I love your face.
Did you? Well,
I'd put it on my shopping.
I'll buy later on.
I put it on my shopping cart.
Hey, I want to give a shout out though to bodybuilding.com on the shirt. You seen this? Excuses don't build muscle.
Cool, man.
And I think that transcends working out. I think that goes right into anything.
Yeah.
It's like everybody has excuses.
Yeah.
Everybody has excuses. I have excuses every day. But I look at the excuse and say, hey, dummy, that's not a real thing. You're just making shit up. You don't want to get out of the couch.
Yeah. Get up, get it done. And I want to make a public service announcement. So I need everyone to listen up. If you are a small business owner, you're an entrepreneur in North Texas, we are opening up the 0 to 7figures.com mastermind group. It's going to be limited. You have to apply. All you got to do is go to the link below. It's 0 to 7figures.com, and you will be able to apply for the mastermind. This is exclusive to North Texas. It's virtual, so you don't have to leave home, and it's going to accelerate your business. If you've been struggling, if you're at 6 figures and you want to get to 7, this is the mastermind you need to be in. It's very hands-on. Abe and I have a lot of experience, a lot of creativity, a lot of insights. And I'm excited. I'm excited to learn with you guys. I'm excited to see your businesses grow and excel.
Hey guys, remember, look in the comments below. There are going to be any resources that we've listed. We will put them in the comments below so you guys can also use those resources. Remember to smash the like button, subscribe. Come visit us again. I believe 0 to 7figures.com is going to be talking about balance this next session. And we're going to talk about balance between home life and work life and how important it is to take care of the people that you're working for. Anyway, love you guys. We will see you the next round. Be good.
Peace.
We're getting
0 to 7figures.com. 0 to 7figures.com. 0